Hey, I want to just welcome everybody to the call. Glad to see everybody who's here, and I'm sure that we'll have a few more people drop in as time goes, because a lot of times people just are running late. And that's okay. But I am really excited about today's event. I get the honor of hosting and introducing a longtime good friend of mine, Matthew Ferry. Matthew and I go back a number of years, probably 25 years, maybe.
Probably.
I met Matthew via his dad, Mike Ferry, who I spent a number of years studying under, I'd like to say, as a real estate agent, learning the art of real estate sales and how to really do the business, because everything that I learned in real estate school went right out the window after I got my license, and then I had to learn how to do the business. And so for years I followed Matthew's dad, met Matthew, met his brother, and we have developed this relationship over 25 years. And Matthew is going to talk to us today about the art of magnetism and how important that is in our life, and what we can attract into our lives, what we can give the world, and what we can give each other and get back. So I know that I'm in a mastermind group that Matthew leads that is just been awesome and has really kind of helped me mind shift a little bit and take on a new perspective in growth personally as well as professionally. And one thing I always talk about is that we all need to grow personally in order to grow professionally. So Matthew, thank you for being here. I'm going to shut up and mute myself and
Great.
turn this whole show over to you. So thank you for this.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, and I got prepared some slides for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all these things that are jamming up my system a little bit here, and hide the floating meeting controls and whatnot. So just give me a moment. There we go. Boom. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the art of magnetism, and it's a 8-step manifesting process. And just by way of background, if you don't know me, I've been coaching and training people now for nearly 30 years. And most of my clients are connected to either the real estate industry or the financial industry. And my main job is essentially to bring out the inner resources of people who are already doing it, already making it happen, and helping to get people to make more money, essentially, but do it in less time, to be more efficient. And back in the day, one of my main jobs, especially in coaching real estate agents, was to be the turnaround coach. So if somebody was maybe not able to follow through and do all the steps that it took to become a successful real estate agent, the other coaches in our organization would give them to me. And then my job was to figure out, how do you get this person to move and actually start to be productive? And over time, I started to realize it had almost nothing to do with the actions that the person was taking, that person could take the exact same actions as somebody else and not get any results. And if we shifted their orientation, who they're being, and the perspective that they had about the world, then all of a sudden, the actions that they took would start to produce results. And through that process, I began to see these 8 steps emerge, and this idea of magnetism, being a magnetic person. And so I want to just start with this idea. I want to start with the idea of you, like you becoming magnetic. Let me just hide this floating meeting control, because I just realized it came back up again. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm getting there. And it's jamming up my system just ever so slightly. So we're going to now hide the floating meeting controls. There we go. So when you become magnetic, now we can go there. When you become magnetic, the question is what becomes possible. And for example, could you manifest a miracle of paying off a big chunk of debt? And the answer is, yeah, actually, you can. And that's a very practical thing to do. And I wanted to start by giving you some examples of little videos from people who have done this process and what they have accomplished and achieved. And this is Robin. Robin was pretty strapped with debt, and it was suffocating her. And it's really hard to be prosperous and productive and magnetic when you feel like you're stifled with debt. And I just want you to hear about what happened with Robin.
I got to the point with my finances and my credit that I actually was able to totally pay off the IRS. And we're talking that this was $105,000 debt.
Which is really, really stifling. And again, I think if you look at this idea of becoming magnetic, there are these possibilities that you could begin to dream about. For example, in the last 8-step manifesting class that we did, Roya had this long time dream of living in Italy and selling real estate there. She's a real estate salesperson, selling real estate in Italy, but she was like stuck. She couldn't quite figure out how she wanted to do it. And she had a paradigm shift in the process. And she started to realize, wait a second, I don't necessarily need to be like all in on Italy. I can be a little more fluid in the process. And that just opened up a whole new realm of possibility. And now she is literally selling real estate in 2 different countries. She's selling real estate here and selling real estate in Italy. Take a look at this. And every time we admit somebody, Mike, my floating meeting controls comes up, but we're just going to roll with it.
Stay there for 1 month, sell real estate in Italy, come back here, sell real estate in America, and just keep doing this because I truly love that country. But so yes, for the longest time I've been wanting to go, and now I realize I don't have to go and stay there for 6 months or a year. I could just do it, 1 month at a time.
Exactly right. She could just do it 1 month at a time. And, magnetism is extremely practical, and you can produce amazing results when you start to shift who you're being on the inside. I want to give you an example from another one of my longtime students who's really made a dramatic shift. And I just want you to think about this. Like, could you, for example, shift your paradigm and only live off of your passive income? Here's a example from one of my students, Thatch, about the journey that he made as he started implementing the 8 steps into his life.
Back then, I used to work 7 days a week, probably 8 to 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make somewhere around, $200,000, $500,000 a year.
It's a big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah.
But I was trading all my time for that money.
Yeah.
And I had no time left over for myself.
Yes.
Today, I still work the same 8 hours, but that same 8 hour, I'm producing, right now I have over $100,000 a month in positive cash flow from my rental.
Boom.
I don't think I ever told you this. I added up my real estate recently. I have over $100 million worth of real estate now.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow is right. So now it's your turn. And I want you to sort of ante up something, because we're going to go through the 8 steps. You can implement the things that I'm going to talk about today, and they will make a difference. They will start to bring about some pretty amazing results, but I need you to get some clarity. Could you write down the dream or the miracle that you want to bring about in 2023? Or if you're driving, just think about it, right? But I wanted to get it clear in your mind. And then if you have to leave early, I want you to just make sure that you write down my URL for the next course that I'm doing. And it's MatthewFerry.com/the-art. MatthewFerry.com/the-art. Love to have you check that out and see if this would be something for you. But you set this big goal, right? And you just visualized it or you wrote it down. And I don't know about you, but if you ever set goals like that would change your life forever, but then they don't manifest? Like, what happens? How does that make you feel? Well, what I found is that drunk monkey in your head, that essentially that negative mind chatter starts to turn you into a victim. You start to say things like, I'm not good enough or smart enough, or I don't fit in, or other people are better than me, and more, they're lucky and I'm less than. All of this negative chatter starts to pop up. And when you go into victim mode, you start to procrastinate and you start to make poor decisions. Essentially, you get into sort of the activities that don't really bring the kind of results that you want, or even worse, you do nothing, right? And you rationalize it. You get all spiritual, like, I'm gonna make excuses essentially, and just make peace with what I have. And here's the big question that I have for myself. I've coached over 10,000 people since 1993, and what I'm looking at is this question, what is the underlying cause of life-changing goal failure? Like, why does that happen? And the answer is surprising. And it's taken me a long time to figure it out, but now I am crystal clear. Essentially, you are not aligned. Your mindset and your actions aren't aligned with your goals. And so I want you to think about your goals in this way, right? Like, when you are doing a life-changing goal, you have to adapt. You got to take new action. You have to learn new skills, meet new people. There's new behaviors, there's new disciplines, there's new tasks. And if we're being honest, right, we resist a lot of that stuff. And your resistance makes it harder because it throws you out of alignment. Like, when you're in resistance, you're not very attractive. You don't have very good decision making. Your resistance actually decreases the potential of your life-changing goals coming true. Then we have to look at what happens here, because all of a sudden we have a reaction. Like, what do people typically do when you find yourself misaligned? Your mindset and your actions are not aligned with your goals, so your goals are not really coming about. Like, what's the typical response to that? And you would think that the response would be something productive, but it's not usually. The typical response to that is frustration. And there's a whole group of studies that were done out of Harvard that show that when you're in frustration, it actually limits your ability. And when you go into a happy and peaceful state, it massively expands your ability to solve problems and move things forward. But the typical response is that people get angry. You get angry at yourself, at the situation. You start blaming life, and you turn yourself into an underdog. You try to whip yourself into shape, or motivate yourself, or dominate yourself, or push yourself, force things to happen. I can't tell you how many times I have tried that in my life. And I noticed that for some people that works, but for me, it doesn't work. And I noticed that there's a lot of people in the world where this sort of masculine, grinding, forcing, pushing style doesn't actually get the results that you want. You spin your wheels a lot. It's very inefficient. Listen to what Thatch had to say about it as I was asking him about what it was like before and what it was like after.
My old motto was, I gotta get out there and I gotta hustle hard. I gotta put in a lot of hours and I gotta get it before someone else get it.
Yeah.
So I know you know this. I used to door knock 100 doors a day.
Yep.
5 hours a day.
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Oh.
On average, I would talk to about 300 people a day to get a lead.
Yeah.
And so that's like chopping wood with a butter knife.
Right. I mean, can you imagine? It's not 300 a day, but talk to 300 people to get a lead is like chopping wood with a butter knife. When you're misaligned, when your mindset and your actions are not aligned with your goals, everything's harder. And it influences the way that you set your goals. And to compensate, most people do this crazy thing. It's like, to compensate, you actually start to set goals to fix your broken life instead. In other words, you start to become conditional. You start saying things like, well, when I achieve A, B, and C, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to be satisfied. Like something needs to change in order for me to feel better or be okay or be at peace or enjoy or be excited. And I just want you to know that that amplifies your frustration and that makes it worse. When you're frustrated and when you're forcing yourself to do things that you don't want to do, it throws you into a survival state, anxiety and stress. And then you're overeating and you're using alcohol and you're using avoidance. You're essentially focused on what you're against, what you don't want versus being focused on what you do want. And I just want you to know, this is the standard model. Trying to fix your broken life causes you to be more aggressive, pushing, fake it till you make it, double down, got to dominate yourself, got to beat yourself up. And here's the question. Does that make things easier or does that make things harder? Harder. Are you more attractive to people and opportunities when you're aggravated? I don't think so. Like when things get hard, I just want you to know who comes swinging out of the jungle. It's that drunk monkey in your head trying to motivate you, trying to bribe you, giving you motivational pep talks like, hey, Matthew, you need the money, man. And it doesn't matter how you feel. And I don't care if it's hard. And I don't care if you don't like this. But the drunk monkey's motivational pep talks are not sustainable. Pushing and forcing and grinding burn you out. You start to hit a wall. And then next thing you know, the drunk monkey is just cycling through all of its responses of worry and doubt and victim. And next thing you know, you need to meditate, right? But you're meditating with all the insanity and the drunk monkeys in your head. And that just creates apathy. And so what do? You and the drunk monkey go get a drink together. But let's be honest, even that annoys you. And clearly showing up here on this call with me and Mike is evidence that you are a growth-oriented person. And a growth-oriented person, when they get to those lows, they get mad, right? And next thing you know, they're doing more accountability, more skills, more learning, more meditation, more exercise, change your diet, dream boards, visualizations, affirmations, maybe a little therapy. And you know what? All those things kind of work. I mean, look at how good your life is now. It's pretty much working. But you know you're missing something. And that's because the real life-changing stuff never really manifests. And then to make things worse, even when it does, the drunk monkey in your head never gives you the win. It just says, nope, you're a loser. That's not it. You didn't get it. So this typical solution to achieving life-changing goals, manifesting life-changing goals, doesn't work for most people. It works for some people. But for most people, it doesn't. And so as a man accountable for making sure that people get results, I had to ask myself the question, well, like, what am I going after here? Like, what are the qualities and characteristics of the actual solution to manifesting the life-changing goals? And the answer is alignment, which means letting go, being experimental, being free and creative and open, trusting that all is well, working on getting into the flow state, allowing miracles into your life, following a proven process, using community, because manifestation happens in communities. It doesn't happen with the individuals. Even no matter how hard you try, you're a part of a network. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to introduce you to the Art of Magnetism. It's an 8-step process that I've been working on, and I've been working to perfect for decades with over 10,000 coaching clients. And I want you to write down the first of the 8 steps right now. Can you write down for me, please? Set your intention. You got to start there. You have to start with setting your intention. And the good news is we already did that. We began our call by me saying to you, like, what's the dream? What's the goal? What's the big vision? Think about it. The main thing is write it down. You got to be clear because you can't hit a target that you don't have. And I will tell you that one of the keys to manifesting and to have the the true authentic goals come about is really getting the mind to shut up long enough to connect with your real goals. Because I don't know about you, but like you set these goals, and then the mind is like, no, that's stupid, you'll never get that, right? The mind is like needles you and agitates you. But the ones that actually inspire you, the ones that get you out of anxiety and they actually pull you into positive action, those come about by getting the mind to go quiet. Listen to what Bila had to say about this. Bila worked the steps, went through the process, got her mind to quiet down, and was able to connect with what was really important to her. Check out what she had to say about it.
So I worked with Matthew. Our mind goes quiet. We are able to see better. I was able to identify how important is passive income for me. I was able to purchase 5 more properties, and more than buying the new one, paying attention to what I have and do everything that I need, because suddenly I have more time. I went from working 15 hours a day to 10, 12 hours a week. So what is to be done? Make my own portfolio workable and make them generate the maximum amount of money.
You know, one of my favorite text messages recently was from Bila, and this was maybe 2 months ago or something like that. She sent me a text, "Hello from Puerto Vallarta. I'm living my dream life now. I'm living nomadically, and everything, all of my income, everything is paid for by my passive income. And I did that working through the process. Step 1, if you don't write it down, if you're not clear, then you can't hit a target that you don't have. Step 2, you got to keep doing what you're doing and start giving the gift." Now, this is so important because one of the things that happens is that we think the way that we're going to get the new thing is to do all new stuff. And actually, that's not the real deal. The real deal is what you want is an expression of where you are now. Like this big dream that you want, it's actually an expression of your current set of circumstances, even though I know that's really hard to understand and wrap your head around. Where you are now is giving birth to the vision. So you keep doing what you're doing, but what you start to do is you begin to fertilize the ground, fertilize the garden, and you do that by giving the gift. And the gift is about connecting with people, connecting deeply, being curious, asking questions, seeing if there's a way you can make a difference or uplifting or supporting. Is there something you can do to sort of be a positive force in their life? With no expectation of reciprocation. And this amazing process transforms your entire existence. It's like it supercharges your ability to produce these miraculous results. Brett was a man that I did a lot of work with in this area. Brett Sikora is his name. And Brett wanted to expand his business and include real estate investing, but he didn't really know where to start. So I asked him to just keep doing what he was doing and to start giving the gift to the people in his life, not necessarily to his real estate agency clients, which he was doing, but mostly he was just doing like normal real estate agency stuff. But I said, I want you to just like start connecting with all the people in your world and in your life and give the gift to them and see what happens. Well, I mean, this really broke Brett out of his comfort zone. And he gave the gift to one of his buddies. And his first acquisition that he did was a friend that he gave the gift to. And the guy essentially put up all the money for his first acquisition. The guy said, like, I've been looking for someone who's going to hustle and do it, and I want to be able to put the capital behind it. And that was the beginning of an epic story of manifestation. I just did a little tiny cut from a video I did with Brett so you could get a sense of just how intergalactic this has gone. Listen to what he said.
What was great about Matthew, and I haven't touched on this yet, is I really broke out of my comfort zone in the world of investing in real estate. I really, I went from like 0 to 80 doors and then also had 42 Airbnbs.
From 0 to 80 doors and 42 Airbnbs, just from being a normal, like, realtor, doing normal realtor stuff. I'm going to say it in this way. You are standing in a river of opportunity. And all you have to do is put your hands into the water and start to harvest some of that opportunity. It's all around you. Step one, set your intention. Step two, just keep doing what you're doing, but begin to plant seeds of good karma by connecting deeply with the people in your life and seeing if you can make a difference for them with no agenda on your part. And you watch the miracles happen. Step three is about attachment. Release your attachment to the process. So many people get paralysis by analysis. So many people are like doing the numbers and crunching the thing and what's the plan, and they're doing all the writing, they're doing all the research, they're trying to figure it out. And I will tell you right now, like, you have no idea how it's going to come about. You have no idea. If you're trying to go for something miraculous and game-changing and mind-blowing, like, you can't wrap your head around that. You have to release your attachment. You don't know, but I will tell you that the drunk monkey in your head thinks it's psychic, but it only predicts bad things. It's like, you can't do it that way and you can't do that and you don't understand and I have these excuses and here's what, like, you just have to let all that go. Thatch and I were working on this process together of transforming his life, essentially. And he kept saying to me, like, Matthew, like, someday I want to build like a giant high-rise condominium complex and just sell them all. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, but he never really came out and said, like, that's what I'm doing. And I was flying up to meet him one day, and I was on the airplane heading into Seattle, and I'm on Alaska Airlines, and I open up the magazine in the back of the seat, and there's all these high-rise condominium complexes being advertised. And I'm like, why is Thatch not doing this? And so I close it up, I put it in my bag, I take it with me. And when I meet with Thatch, I sit down with him and I reach into my backpack, pull out the magazine, I slap it on the table, open it up. I'm like, look at all these high-rise condominium complexes, Thatch. Like, why have we not set the intention to do this? And you should have heard the insanity that was coming out. I was like, you don't know, we were up in this high rise having lunch, and he's like, you look at all those cranes, like, you can't even get a crane. There's too many things being built. He's like going all through like the process and like what it's going to take and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, Thatch, you know that I grew up in Orange County, right? And he's like, yeah. And I said, largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. So I kind of consider myself part Vietnamese like you, bro. And he, kind of laughed, right? He's like, what is this white boy talking about? And I said, now it feels to me like you don't know about the ancient Vietnamese proverb. And he literally looked at me like, how do you know an ancient Vietnamese proverb? And I said, well, I've got an ancient Vietnamese proverb for you, and I think it applies here. I want to spell it out for you, Thatch. PHUKHAU. Fuck how, Thatch. I didn't ask you, how are you going to do a high rise? I said, why don't you set the intention and go through the process? Release your idea of how it's going to turn out. And I will tell you that completely transformed his perspective. Within 9 months, he had the high rise property secured. They were in planning. They were starting to build it. He built the whole entire thing. In fact, it changed his entire perspective. Fuck how. PHUKHAU. He even put it on his Ferrari's license plate. That's how impactful it is. Forget about the how to. Let's look at step 4, because there are 8 steps to manifest miraculous results into your life. Step 4, be ready to tell everyone what you're manifesting. Now, that's not easy. It's not easy because we're embarrassed. It's not easy because we don't know what we're doing, especially the kinds of results that we're talking about here. Like, if you're making the jump from, I figure you're connected to Mike. So maybe you're making the jump from like doing whatever you're doing to making money now to suddenly buying and rehabbing apartment buildings, like that's a major monumental leap and jump. And to make that kind of jump, you have to do something different. Like, yeah, do you have to learn? Do you have to become? Do you have to get skilled? All of those things, 100%, all of that stuff. But you also got to find the right people, find the right money, find the right system, find the right property. You need the right property to drop in your lap. I mean, there's like all of these like sort of luck oriented things that need to occur as well. And that's what the 8 steps are about. So you tell everyone what it is that you are manifesting, because manifestation is done in community. It's not done by yourself. Your net worth is a direct result of your network. And your network of people is the source of ideas and resources and opportunities. That's really what Mike has been trying to do, is assemble a network of people who all can share and support each other. And that's what I do too. Well, we share that same philosophy, that it is really about the network. So you want to be ready to share what you're up to and ask for help. But I will tell you, giving the gift is the keys to the kingdom. Because when you connect deeply and you want to know and you're curious and you're really trying to understand people, and you take your stinky agendas, you put them behind you, and you're just focused on making a difference for others and seeing if you can help and support and uplift, people will reciprocate. Not everybody, but like 1 in 4 people will reciprocate. And when they do, it's like magic. People will want to help you to get what you want. And, prospecting for business and prospecting for properties and, like making offer after offer after offer, that can be stressful. But giving the gift will actually reduce that. It'll reduce it, and then it'll always make your request so much easier to deliver. Mitch was a guy that I was working with for a long time, and his mindset was just like, ask, grind, next thing. And like, it was burning him out. It was giving him a lot of dread in his life. And I asked him to shift. I just said, yeah, keep doing this stuff, but start giving the gift. Like, get into like making a difference, supporting, being uplifting, like just add that in and see what happens. And the change in his energy was ridiculous. His optimism returned, and therefore his magnetism returned. Listen to what Mitch had to say about this process.
I felt unfulfilled. I had to force myself to do the things that I was doing in the business world. And I really had a feeling of most mornings, a feeling of dread when I got up before I started to go to work. I would say there's a large level of joy. I feel the return of creativity in my life. Just being able to wake up in the morning and understand that I am going to help people that day, and learning how to be in that way every day, and getting myself back into it. When I wake up in the morning, I feel almost excited to get started. And that's been the big turnaround.
That's been a big turnaround. Life just gets so much easier when you give the gift. It's so much easier to make the requests that you want when you do that. So let's look at number 5. Number 5 is connect deeply with everyone and step over no one. I'm going to propose this. Your goals and dreams have actually been trying to get into your life, but you're too busy to say yes. You're like a no machine. You're like a deletion. You're like, not that person. No, I can't talk to you. I don't have time. I can't do that. I can't, right? You're like so busy blowing everybody off that you aren't taking the time to interface and connect and really take advantage of the network effect that is going on in your life. And you just never know who that one is going to be. Last year, Kristen is my wife, and she runs our company. We architected taking 5.5 months off, and we went on the road, and we were living in Airbnbs and whatnot. And in that process, it like opened up this freedom. We, in 2019, we had started our nonprofit called the Center for Rapid Enlightenment to essentially do the research and the science on the impact of a methodology that I've created called the Rapid Enlightenment process. But then the pandemic hit and, you know, like nothing happened, right? It was just like everything shut down. And so in 2022, all of a sudden this, like the freedom of it started coming back again. And I started writing about it. I started talking about it. I started connecting with people on it. And in June, one of my clients said, you know, you've been talking about the Center for Rapid Enlightenment, and I want you to be ready to take in some money at the end of the year. I think I'm going to write a big check to get things started. And I was like, whoa, okay. Like, whoa, like the energy comes in and I'm like, what, you know, like, what do we need to do? Like, really, what do we need to, we need to find someone who is in the sort of education and science community. Cause that, like, I'm like you, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like hustling and making money and creating stuff and things like that. I wasn't really connected to that arena at all. And so I got clarity about what it was that I was manifesting. And the last part of our trip, we were in Mazatlan for a month, and my son Eli he's been getting into cooking. And so I'm like, oh, wow, there's this really amazing taco lady who not only teaches you tacos, but takes you on taco tours and blah, all this stuff. And I thought that'd be fun, right? So I booked the tour, and I get a text from her like 15 minutes before it's supposed to start, like, I'm not coming, I'm sending Juan Pablo. And it's like, whoa, you know, like Juan Pablo, you know, who's Juan Pablo? Okay, like we wanted Paola and we're getting Juan Pablo, fine. So we're on the taco tour, and, you know, Kristen and I, we just follow the process. So we step over no one. We connect deeply with Juan Pablo. We're asking him questions, trying to understand who he is, trying to see what he was all about. And all of a sudden, Kristen just goes like, you're not a taco guy. And he's like, no. Paola's my wife. I'm filling in for her. I'm a last year PhD candidate. I'm about to get my PhD in cultural biology. And all of a sudden, Kristen and I were like, what's cultural biology? Then he starts explaining it. And we're like, oh my God, like this is the one. This is the guy right here. And here's a picture of Juan Pablo and I in Orange County a few months later, putting together the plan for what we're doing in the Center for Rapid Enlightenment. We've already got the first research paper done. It's going into peer review now. We're about to go into doing our first publishing of this research paper. And the whole thing happened because we connected deeply with the taco guy. We didn't step over him. We didn't make up some bullshit story in our head about, you know, like, hey, we're the rich Americans here and he's just the taco guy. We're like, no, really, really trying to figure out who this guy was, because nature follows the path of least resistance. Just practice thinking this. Could you be the one? Number 6 is to play the perfect game. Now, the perfect game is actually just an expression of you getting out of saying no all the time, because you're going to be giving the gift. You're going to be connecting with people. You're going to be saying what it is that you want to manifest. Right? You're like this, you're putting this energy out there into the world. And then all of a sudden you're going to start to get ideas. People are going to start to tell you stuff and ask you to do things. So whatever is offered, accept it. People are going to give you things, and then you need to say, yes, thank you. And I want you to know that's not easy to do. We have a natural like, oh, no, I couldn't take that. No. No, you need to say yes and take it. The second part of it is whatever is suggested, you do it. Because people are going to suggest things that your brain just goes like, what? This has nothing to do with what it is that I'm talking about. And I promise you, it's just because you don't know. You don't know yet. You have to get into this flow. And then ultimately, you have to declare things perfect, because you can't see far enough down the road to know that you said yes to this weird thing over here, but it was actually leading to the result that you want over there. And you have to practice being over here going like, why am I doing this weird thing? But realizing it's always going my way, even when it's not. So whatever's offered, you take it, whatever's suggested, you do it, and whatever happens, you declare it perfect. And I'll tell you, it happened to me recently. I was trying to manifest a place for us to go with our personal mastermind. Kristen and I belong to a group of 7 people. And we wanted to go on a trip together. And I was giving the gift to one of my clients, who you'll hear from later, actually, and making a difference and connecting and uplifting and supporting. And then she like turned it around, right? Because this is what we do in our community. We give the gift to each other, and then we see if we can make each other's dreams come true. And so I'm telling her about, well, like really the main thing that I'm manifesting right now is a place where we can go and mastermind for a week and do it like in the most delicious, holistic place possible. And she's like, Matthew, during my last 8-step process, I manifested a wellness retreat in the Dominican Republic, and I will let you guys go there. And I was like, at first I was like, whoa. And then I was like, ugh, right. Dominican Republic, like for us in California, like that's a heavy duty trip to get to Dominican Republic. And I just like, ugh, I just wanted to say no, to be honest with you. I wanted to say no, but I didn't. I accepted what was offered. And I will tell you that trip was an absolutely magical, game-changing moment for us. That's the group right there at the resort. In fact, this webinar that I'm doing right now is an expression of some of the decisions and the choices that I made when I was on that trip. So you stop saying no, you start saying yes, and you watch what happens. It's going to blow your mind. The 7th step is to ride the waves of energy. And I think if we're just being honest here, like, like there's times when the energy is high and there's times when the energy is low. And it's like, you have to be like a surfer on waves. Like when the energy is there, you're riding the waves and you're going. Like not every wave turns out. Not every lead will turn out. Not every new idea will turn out. And then there's times when it's like, there's no waves, right? There's no energy. Things aren't moving. Things aren't happening. You're just like, right? It's just blah. And you have to learn to just chill out. Like if you're a surfer, you don't go paddling out to sea looking for the next wave. You just you hang out and you just check out the sunshine and be in the breeze and just float, or you go back on the beach and kick back and get a tan, right? It's the same thing when you're manifesting these wild and amazing goals and dreams. You have to ride the energy when it's there, and then you have to take more naps when there's no energy. You don't freak out and try and make it happen. You ride those natural waves. And then finally, the 8th step is very simply, you always get what is perfect for the life that you're living now. And that's not easy to swallow, because we really do believe that we're psychic, and we really do believe that we can predict the future, and we really are totally full of shit. And I promise you that the universe, God, source, whatever that creative force is, it's got your back. Like if you're thinking of it, then it's coming. It just may not come in the package that you want, but you always get the essence of your desires. Listen to what happened with Deanna as she went through this process.
He said, what's your big juicy goal? And I've wanted since I was, 17 years old and living in Hawaii, I've always wanted a home on the cliffs by the sea. That's just something that I've always wanted. And when I wrote it down, as soon as you write down any of those big juicy goals, they seem to just annihilate me almost. It's almost like you have this big goal, and the first thing that pops in your head is, that's impossible. That's never going to happen. How is that ever going to happen? A home on the cliffs by the sea. Those are like $25 million in Maui, right? Now we'll have 7 properties in Mexico, which are on the sea or next to the sea. So, right, it's not the home on the cliffs by the sea, but it's the essence, right? It's being close to the ocean. We have the mountain property. We do have a property in Hawaii now. And so to see, like when I wrote it down, I'm like, that's impossible. That's never going to happen. To getting our first place in Hawaii, to getting our places in Mexico. And now that I'm ready, I'm getting these other opportunities to build, a cabin in the woods, a glamping community. We actually have an opportunity to buy a wellness retreat that is up on the hills overlooking the sea. So it's all coming, it's all in flow. And so Matthew always says, there are no bad goals, just bad deadlines. So it's fun to watch that come full circle.
You always get the essence of your intention, but it's so difficult to practice accepting and appreciating that because we hold ourselves accountable to standards that don't exist. And the framework that our mind holds always makes us the underdog and never really gives us the true win. And that, my friends, limits your ability to manifest. Becoming magnetic is extremely practical because becoming magnetic is like the fastest way to increase your professional performance, build deep and satisfying relationships, expand your network of people that love and trust you. It's the fastest way to receive high quality referrals, to get opportunities that other people don't, like VIP experiences, to feel connected to something bigger than yourself, or build a tribe of believers and supporters, advocates, followers, create breakthroughs in areas that have felt like they're out of reach your whole life, to feel like you're living a charmed life, delighted, feeling joy and satisfaction. It's really, really practical. And if you're ready to join me in a process of practicing that, like if you want to take your life into the easy zone and have some of these big dreams start to come about faster, if you want to be surrounded by a tribe of people who think like this, right? Think like what we're talking about, then I would ask you to consider joining me for my next Art of Magnetism 8-week course. This is a Zoom training on Wednesday nights. It's actually starting next Wednesday, May 10th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in Central, obviously that's 6 Central. But let me give you the rundown of how good this offer is. And I think that you will be really excited about joining us. So we're going to do our training, and I'm going to take each one of our 8 steps, and we're going to break it down and get you into it, like get you in the flow, get you actually doing it. Then we're going to do Q&A, and the Q&A is really, this is where we dial it in so you get it in your bones, but this is also where you start to connect and collaborate with other people in the group. We call this building your golden Rolodex. Plus, we're going to give you instantly downloadable PDFs of the Art of Magnetism worksheets. So this is like where you're going to write your goals and you're going to put your intentions, keep notes and inspirations, and document your wins because your brain will try to delete them. And we're going to give you access to all the recordings. So just in case you miss it, right? Because I'd say, most people show up for 6 or so of the 8 classes. That'd be pretty normal. But you get we're going to record them within or put them up within 24 hours so that you don't miss a beat. And I think probably more valuable than our actual 8 steps is the Facebook group. And this is essentially where you're going to commune and connect with people who are in the group. They're doing the same thing that you're doing, and they're likely 1 or 2 steps away from almost anything that you could need. Like, this is the place where you want to expand your network and connect and give the gift. This is the place to do it. So to recap, we're going to get the 8 weeks of training with me step by step. We'll go through this proven process. You'll get unlimited Q&A. I want to make sure that you really get this. And this is also where your community starts to build, because they start to hear what you need and then people reach out to you. You're going to get the worksheets. You're going to get the Facebook group, which is like where you're going to connect with everybody. And the course is normally $17.95, but I have a ridiculous deal for you today. So before I tell you what that is, let me tell you about the bonuses that you get. All right. So let's break this down. The first thing is you're going to get the 10-10 visualization. And this is a technique that I've created to help you to be satisfied and eager for more. And it's perfect for getting the most out of step 1 and step 3. Plus, you're going to get accepting self, others, and situations. Some people get hung up on step 5. We don't accept others. We don't accept ourselves. We step over people. This is going to help you with step 5. Then we're going to do the all is well meditation as another bonus. And this kind of snaps you back into the headspace that you need to be in your magnetic personality. Have your magnetism shine. I pulled this audio from my all-time winners archive, and it's ideal for step 8, because step 8, like, we really do make our wins wrong. And then we're going to do connecting with abundance. And the connecting with abundance meditation is the perfect antidote to that driver part of your personality that's like a dog with a bone. You're going to use this over and over in step 7, especially when things start to die down. Like, you're going to have to get yourself reconnected into your abundance mindset. Then on top of that, I'm going to give you the gift ebook. And, enough said. Like, this is the deep dive on how to give the gift. And it's like the ultimate networking guide, but networking in a totally different way. And then just for the hell of it, I threw in amplifying your money magnetism, because, why not? Money is good, and I want you to have more money. And this is essentially a mental shift on bringing more money into your life. So if you think about your big dream that you wrote at the beginning of this time that we have together, if we could get you on the path to making that thing manifest in the next 8 weeks, I mean, how much would that be worth? Karen is a lady that I told you about who had the wellness retreat. And she manifested that in using the 8 steps. And when I met her back in the day, she was a homeless mom. She had recently become homeless. Her and her child were sleeping on people's couches. And I was like, this is the process. Like, this is the method. She was in real estate agency at that time. But really, really floundering and failing. And I was like, we got to do something totally different. But listen to how Karen describes this interaction of going from like 0 to killing it. Listen to how she describes it.
I immediately started just working a lot of his systems and a lot of the things that he was telling me to do. And I just noticed that everything in my life started aligning financially, mainly. I was a homeless single mom. And I was really struggling, and my son and I were staying on sofas in the basements of friends, and they would order pizza for us. And so we were really struggling. And he took me through this process that was so shocking and surprising, because I was like, how does that relate to my poverty right now? And it wasn't 3 months later, I had $600,000 come to me. So it was like, what? I'm a homeless single mom, and $600,000. It might as well have been 10 billion. So I can just always look to the work that I do with Matthew and how it has raised the vibration of how much money I bring in. It's nuts. It's crazy. I can't even. Yeah.
I mean, if you're in real estate and you could manifest one more client who gives you 10 deals this year, or one more investment, I mean, what's that worth? 20, 30, 40, $100,000. If you could manifest the financial backer that starts your passive income business like Brett did, I mean, what's that worth? If you could manifest your dream life, I mean, that's priceless. Now, if you hired me as your coach, that's 36 grand a year. If you're in my mastermind, like Mike's in my mastermind, that's 9 grand a year to be in the mastermind. But your investment in this course is only $17.95. But like I said, I wanted to give you a ridiculous offer today. And that ridiculous offer is $295. This is our early bird pricing. And if you're asking yourself, like, come on, Matthew, WTF, like, why $295? Is there some catch? I mean, I think you're asking the right question, but I'll tell you why. Mike said it on the way in. Mike said, like, I was talking to some of my friends and they're like, wow, I think Matthew's back. And he's so right. I'm back. Like, I shut it all down in the pandemic, and I am ready to offer an easy, effortless way for you to get involved with me and my community. We're rebuilding our community of mega manifestors, people who want to live an enlightened, prosperous life. And until now, you could really only work with me either paying 9 grand or 36 grand. So I decided to make you an offer that you couldn't refuse. And it's that simple. Now, it's only available until Sunday night coming up. So if you change your mind, on Monday, if you have FOMO, it's $17.95. On Tuesday, if you're aggravated that you didn't sign up and now you decide you want to do it, it's still $17.95. And on Wednesday, if you beg me to get in, it's going to be $17.95. So you need to take action if you're interested in getting involved. And you can do that by going to MatthewFerry.com/the-art. MatthewFerry.com/the-art. And so with that, I want to open it up for any questions, concerns, comments, thoughts, anything at all. And I'm happy to talk about any of the 8 steps. And I'm happy to talk about anything related to the course. I'm open. You run the show. I will follow your lead. Let me stop doing the sharing here, and we'll talk on camera. Let me get rid of the slide so I can go see you again. Haha, there you are. Hello. So I want to open up, Mike, to questions, concerns, comments, thoughts, anything at all regarding anything that we've been talking about.
Yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, you can unmute yourself. You have access to do that. Just jump in and ask Matthew anything.
All right,
Anything at all.
I was taking notes, but I got all of the steps written down except number 3.
So number 3 is release attachment to the process. Release attachment to the process. And you'll remember I told the story about thatch and the ancient Vietnamese proverb.
Yep. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Release attachment. Good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for that clarification, Joel. Good. Anybody else want any help, support, or clarification on the 8 steps? I'm happy to do it. Step 1, you got to get clear. Step 2, you keep doing what you're doing. You start giving the gift. Step 3, you have to constantly release your attachment about how it's going to happen. You're not psychic. You don't know. Step 4, you got to tell people what you're committed to. Essentially, you got to water that garden. Step 5, don't step over people, because the universe is likely going to deliver the perfect person in a really weird and strange wrapper that you never would have ever thought about. Number 6 is to play the perfect game. Whatever's offered, you take it. Whatever's suggested, you do it. Whatever happens, you declare it perfect. Number 7 is you ride those waves of energy as they go up and down. And then number 8 is to make sure and acknowledge that you get what is perfect for your life. And that doesn't usually match what your vision was. I'm happy to talk about any of those things from the 8 steps, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the course that we're doing as well. All right, my friends. Well, Mike, thank you for hosting this call and bringing these ideas to your people. And I'm hoping that that a few of you decide to join us for this next 8 weeks. It's going to be a miracle-filled extravaganza, and it would be nice to like throw your miracles into the mix and have your energy part of our process at bringing about some of these incredible things. If you're done with being a grinder, if you're done pushing and forcing and making yourself do stuff, then this is the right thing for you to do. This will put you into an opportunity flow and an abundance mindset in a way that you can't even imagine. So I'll leave it at that.
Hey, Matthew, I've had a couple of people ask if we were going to be sharing the link, or we recorded the episode. Are we you want to repost this, or?
Yeah, heck yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Let's repost it. Of
Fine.
course. That sounds great.
I'll have Rain work on that tomorrow.
Awesome.
And, hey, I have one question. On one of the last slides you had was magnetism is practical, and you had 8 points on there. What were the last 4 points?
Let me just go and pull it up for you and get it going again. Okay, magnetism is practical. So then I'm going to go here to Zoom and I'm going to share. Give me one moment. I don't know why I'm singing, but I am. There we go. Magnetism is practical. So you got VIP experiences. You get connected to a higher purpose. You create tribe. Breakthroughs occur when you're in the process of developing your magnetism. And in general, you start to experience like delight and joy and satisfaction and peace. It's really, really awesome.
Matthew, did you tell people how they could get connected with you or get set up if if they wanted to move forward or just connect with you and learn more?
Yeah. So you just go to MatthewFerry.com, MatthewFerry.com. All the things that I'm doing are on my site. We're doing a retreat coming up. We're doing the 8 steps. We've got a big new program that we're putting out soon that is going to be about the mindset around money. Like how do you attract, like Kristen and I, for example, we had been working on the idea of winning the lottery. And I know that sounds like quirky, almost, like a sellout. But we ended up actually sort of winning it twice, not the actual lottery. But we had one investment that we made that was $35,000, and that investment shot up and went to 1.8 million. And then we had another investment that we had made that had a 6,500% increase in value. And these were things that, like, we only got access to them because we were giving the gift, we were being curious, we were being supportive, we were being uplifting, all of that stuff. And so the idea of money magnetism and, like, how do you orient yourself such that you can take advantage of all these different cool leveraged ways to make money, it takes something. So we've got a course coming up pretty soon that we're going to do on that. So if you go to my site and just start poking around, get connected with me on Facebook, that kind of thing, and we'll keep you in the loop. Good. Anything else you need from me, Mike?
I don't. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all your input, and I appreciate what I've learned in being in Mastermind and, the tribe piece, right? Being involved with everybody I grew up with in the real estate business, again, right? And just learning and connecting. And, the funny thing is that if you watch Thatch on social media, you think, yeah, right. But when you know Thatch and you know who he is and you know what he's about, it just ultimately makes such a big difference in that perspective and what you learn here. So it's interesting, and I appreciate you and Kristen for all you guys have continued to give and done for me. So
Looks like Jeffrey Goldstein raised his hand. Do you want to just unmute yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much, Mike. Always love watching Mike perform. A couple of questions. Number one, what microphone are you using? Your voice is booming. It's shaking everything in my house. It's beautiful.
This is the Shure S7M, I believe. This one here. I have, the I'm thinking about my other one. This is the MV7 Shure.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Your voice is booming. I love it. Second question, has your son learned how to make tacos yet?
My son has definitely learned how to make tacos. Yep. And yeah, he makes us food all the time now, which is so fun.
That is great.
And,
That's a great
yeah.
story. Most people would have freaked out. Oh my God, I can't believe we're not seeing who we got what we had, and all of a sudden you had somebody else, and it turns out to be just as good, if not better. And that's the nature of reality in some cases. And
Yes, it is.
you learn
That's
from
it,
things
man.
like that. So kudos to you. Thank you again. I followed your family for a very long time, and I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Well, my friends, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for taking this time with Mike and I, and looking forward to connecting with you in the future.
And I just would want to encourage everybody to, take that next step, because Matthew did provide a ridiculous offer. And, for 8 weeks for, $295, what you will gain is, and he put it on a slide, it's priceless. So.
Thanks for saying that, Mike. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Talk to you all soon. Have a good evening. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.